Okay, it says we are live. What's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It is the 8th of December. I apologize that I am late, but it was my dad's 70th birthday, and I wanted to have dinner with him. We're having a party on Sunday, so it's absolutely unbelievable because the older he gets, apparently it's the older I get at the same time. But at any rate, I want to bring on Mike from On Point Preparedness. One of the main reasons I actually make videos is from watching Mike's videos on Point Preparedness. He covers everything that I do, and I should say I cover everything that he does because he did it first. Mike, what's up, brother?
Hey, thanks for the intro, man. And happy birthday to your dad, too.
Right? 70 years old. It blows me away. And he looks like I do. We look the same. So I don't know if that's good for him or bad for me. One of the two. At any rate, let me ask you, this time last year, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. You're probably better at it than I am because you make much better videos on the subject, but I try. I do what I can. Could you believe everything that's going on right now? Would you have believed it was going to be this bad at this time last year?
Well, I think in the last couple years, I knew it was definitely going to progress quickly. I think maybe 3 years ago, I'd have no idea we would be in the spot that we're at, especially with how divided America is, with all the symbolism that is going around. I mean, we're just getting hit from all fronts. And I think it really speaks to, how you introed into this video is, my blog maybe had a small part to inspire you to start your own blog. I mean, it's really starting to spread across social media where a lot of people are picking up on this thing. It is no longer one of those small niches of tinfoil hat wearers. I mean, you're hearing some of this pop up in daily discussions. I mean, just for an example, I think it was over the summertime. I was just sitting at a restaurant with my family, and no lie, first time anything like this has ever happened to me, I sort of hear this discussion of a family behind me talking about Jesus is coming and talking about the blood moons and talking about all these taboo things that we cover on our channels. And so although, it's still fringe and a lot of people don't have close people to talk to about this stuff, it's definitely spreading like wildfire. I mean, you really can't deny how many ends we're getting hit with all the symbolism and events all over the world, whether it's division of America and governmental policies and procedures, or the natural world and the earthquakes and volcanoes. I mean, just like I said, it's coming from all fronts.
It's funny because I had to reboot my computer. I planned on going on at 7 o'clock, but I totally forgot it was my dad's birthday, so I wanted to eat with him real quick. I had to reboot my computer, but I had a bunch of pages open for this live stream, and one of them was Dutch Synths and the USGS's site, because it appears that the shaking is happening big time. California is starting to look a little suspect right now. What do you think of that? You've been following that? I'm sure you have. I shouldn't even ask.
Yeah, I did see that there was that one tremor off the coast, and they were looking to see if there'd be any other tremors after that. But there's definitely an increase in earthquakes. I mean, most definitely, especially in 2014, we set all sorts of records in terms of frequency and intensity and numbers of earthquakes. I was actually, right before this broadcast, I was looking for a video I did a while ago, actually mapping the past 100 years of earthquakes. And there's no denying that it's a turbulent time, especially when you pair it up with some of the major disasters the world has had, with Fukushima or the Indonesian tsunami, Nepal, Italy. I mean, just we're all getting exposed via social media to all these huge events.
Right. It's going on. It's more and more. And a lot more people are trying to point the finger at CERN. And like I said, when we talked earlier, I talked to a lot of guys that are serious CERN experts, and they're all kind of looking at HAARP, actually. So it's hard to tell, but a lot of them seem very, very suspect because they always seem to be in line with some sort of legislation or some sort of political move that somebody wants somebody else to do, and they don't go for it. Next thing you know, there's an earthquake. So, I mean, this is Absolutely crazy times we're living in right now, man. Absolutely. And I've got the page open right here. This is your YouTube channel, which is a phenomenal channel. I can't imagine any of my subscribers aren't already subscribed to you, but you were the original. I was telling you on the phone that when I was putting together my serious bug out bag, maybe a few years ago, when I really, came to grips with the fact that this is going to be something I'm going to need, I went through the list, and you were one of the best channels as far as laying things. And I'm not saying this because you're on. I mean, I left it in the comment section. You laid out you've got the website going. You've got some of the best information, and from the gear, your gear mirrors mine exactly. So I'm not sure. Are you prior military or just really on the ball?
No, I get that a lot, but I'm not military. Just, I guess you could say I've done a lot of research.
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Your website's probably one of the most copied as far as bug out bag preparedness. So how long have you been making videos exactly? And I don't mean like to the exact minute, but what made you want to decide to start doing this?
Well, I think the website, oh geez, I think it's been going for, it's not that long. And, just like your story with my blog sort of influencing you, there's similar channels that influenced me. So Face Like the Sun and Round Saturn's Eye and KJ and the Scariest Movie Ever. We all influence each other at some point in time. But my website, I had that up for, I think it's maybe a hair under 3 years. And just like you said, it was more secular when I started it. And it was more based on preparedness physically and just politics and things like that. And I do have my testimony on there somewhere if you look that up. Most people find it pretty interesting. But with all the lies and the deceit and the need for preparedness and all these things weighing against your mind, you don't even know what's truth anymore at some point. And I started really questioning what truth was. And I had, quote unquote, fallen away from the faith because I was raised Roman Catholic and then started exploring it again, only to find that the Roman Catholic faith and the reason why I dropped away from it were, pretty much in sync. It was the Roman Catholic faith that was sort of like the Antichrist kingdom, essentially. And so that's why maybe God led me away from it. But I realized, after trying to decipher truth on the internet, you couldn't. You just can't. There's so much information, misinformation, disinformation, even in the truth stream media, the alt news. I mean, there's things that aren't true. And it's really hard to make sense of it all. And so I had to take a step back and I said, Mike, define what truth is. And eventually that made me submit to Christ as the only truth. The only thing that I knew was a standard. And so you actually see an inflection point in my channel. And it goes from very secular, politic, bug out bag, physical preparedness based to more of the prophecy based style and genre. But that was all the transformation in me, after I was saved.
Because just for instance, the channels that inspired you are exactly the same, and you can tell. KJ, Gons from Face Like the Sun, Round Saturn's Eye. These are all guys that I stay in touch with via email and other, and I use pieces of their videos and stuff. These are some of the better channels because they remain in their message. They stay with it. They don't really shy away from anything. And of course, everyone throws the word shill and all this stuff around. You can find that about anybody. It is what it is. People don't like people that are talking about Christ right now. They just don't want to hear it. It's just amazing. And the funny thing is the same people that don't want to admit that Jesus died for us. It just happened. I know for a fact. It's funny the way you said that you brought your videos. You went to the physical. Let me get bug out bags. Let me get ready. And then when you're really searching for the honest to God truth, no pun intended, and you don't find out that there is an evil, there's a Satan, and there is a Jesus, then you're fooling yourself. That's all there is to it. I know I'm going to get thumbs down. I know people are going to go, oh boy, here we go. But it's the honest to God truth. Again, no pun intended.
Yeah,
Look at how much satanic stuff is happening around us. It's unprecedented how bad this is getting. Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the influencers on me. I mean, there is, whether you're a Christian or some type of faith-based believer, you cannot deny the just massive level of evilness consuming the world. You just can't. Whether it's ISIS, or you look at the symbolism, or the pedophilia rings and sex trade, I mean, or the politics, it's just completely consuming. And that was one of the things that weighed on my mind, was you see all this happening around the world and you're like, wow, I see this happening, and this definitely exists. And so if the bad exists, certainly the good must exist as well. And just for background, you know, for anyone who's listening that isn't saved right now, I'm a very analytical person. I would not consider myself an emotional person. I know when people look at religious groups and they see them raising their hands and crying and acting all emotional, I act the same way. I look at that and I'm like, that's really not me. You know, I'm very just reserved, I guess. But I'll tell you what, the day that I was saved, I was very emotional. I mean, when they talk about you being baptized in the Holy Spirit and you actually feeling it, I mean, for me, being a reserved, non-emotional, analytical type person and feeling the way I did, I knew, you know, I knew Christ was real. I knew he was my savior. It was absolutely insane just how real it was.
It's amazing that you say that, because again, I got to say, I drove around the entire country with no particular target in mind as far as where I was gonna end up. I jumped in my Jeep, I grabbed my backpack, I grabbed my gear, and I was going to get saved. Didn't exactly know what it meant, didn't exactly know where it was going to happen, and I ended up in Florida. And when you speak about the emotional part of it, I am emotional. I'm not as analytical as I should be. I'm more inclined to emotion. Like, I get mad. You know what I mean? And it shows through in my videos, and your style shows through in your videos as well. I couldn't find these symbols. We talked about this on the phone. This stuff right here, nobody else found this. This is staggering that you even had the, I don't know what you call it, the laser vision to see this stuff. But at any rate, when I did find where I was going, it was a, I don't know, I'm probably going to say a 30 room capacity, 30 people capacity room down in Florida. And when I took everyone's hand, you know what I'm talking about, they all started crying. And they all seemed to think that I was a messenger. I don't know what to make of that, but I was saved right there and then. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I can't look back from it. And I still, in my own particular way, I still try to tell people, what's the solution? Because you know how that is. Everybody in the comments, they want, what can we do? I don't know. It looks like it's playing out the way it's supposed to play out. And the only thing I can tell you without a doubt is that we're not just physical. We're way bigger than that. And it looks like things are playing out the way they're supposed to. The full armor of God. That's my answer.
Yeah, that's the truth. The other thing that people love to debate, right, is, you know, what's going to happen next. You know, there's that whole pre, mid, and post-tribulation type deal, and everyone loves to debate that.
No, right. I don't have the capacity to memorize and repeat what I've seen in the Bible. I know what I need to know. So I try to stay out of debates of that magnitude because I'm just not equipped for it. You know what I mean? I've had several head injuries, and just to be truthful, my memory is not good. If it's not on video, I don't remember it as well as I should. But there's entire channels that are devoted to exactly, I mean, down to the minute what's going to happen next. And I don't know. I can't answer that one.
The main thing is, you know, I like the quote for everyone. You prepare mentally, you prepare physically, and you prepare spiritually. Because I think we're going to get hit by all three. It's just everyone wants to know when, right? You know, when, what period are we in? Are we in the tribulation? Are we the terminal generation? What's going to happen? Well, I think the world is poised to do something major. From the stock market point of view, If you look at it from a very secular, mathematical point of view, how
Right.
our money systems are, how the Federal Reserves are, the central banks of the world, it's a mathematical collapse. If you look at the war machine, it looks like global war. I mean, just there's so many things, whether you look at it spiritually or secularly, the world's not in a good spot. And so, I highly advocate anyone to, focus on all three of those things. You focus on your mental and physical preparedness, but you also focus on spiritual as well.
And you can't go wrong doing any of those, because doing all three of those things just makes your life better. It's going to make whatever is coming that much easier to deal with. It's the only way that, I mean, I don't want to go into this unprepared. And like I was saying, they are showing themselves. They're not shy anymore. I mean, it's coming right out. We have the Pope literally, he's comparing the media to people that are obsessed with fecal matter. That doesn't even make any sense. It's such an insane thing that the Pope was quoted as saying. I mean, what is this?
Yeah, anyone that watches my channel knows one of my main themes is focusing on the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church institution, not necessarily any individual that is Catholic,
Right.
talking more about the institution itself. If you've seen some of my more popular videos on the scriptures and how they relate the Roman Catholic Church to Mystery Babylon, it makes perfect sense. And it's not just Mike from On Point Preparedness saying this. Actually, if you look back in time at the, not the founders of the Bible, but there were several people in the past, those that had the Geneva Bible that transcribed it. They had footnotes in there in the Geneva Bible that said that the Roman Catholic Church was Mystery Babylon. And so this is, I won't call it ancient, but there are a multitude of experts that study the Bible that have all pinged Mystery Babylon to the Roman Catholic Church. And when you follow the actions of the Vatican and the Pope, I mean, they're just playing it out exactly. It's just absolutely insane.
I noticed that, again, we parallel, and again, that's no pun intended. We both follow CERN. And I noticed a lot of channels, they'll mention it, once, twice a year, but both of us follow CERN, both from our own different points of view. But CERN plays a huge part. And we were talking again earlier about the Awake project being hooked up finally. And I guess it's in its testing phases. It's live, it's running. These guys are literally going to try to tear the veil, the invisible barrier between our physical reality and the spiritual reality. Do you think they're going to be successful? I mean, you're not being quoted here. I'm just asking your opinion now that I've got you online.
Well, I mean, in terms of revelation, there's parts of it that are very sci-fi. I mean, heck, even if you think about just Christianity in general, right? I mean, the fact that there's another dimension of heaven and hell, and man rose from the grave after he died. I mean, all that is completely supernatural. And so if you believe in Christianity, or you're a saved Christian, you believe all these supernatural events, it's really not a far shot to think about supernatural things happening in this specific point in time. Mainly, what if CERN were to open up some type of interdimensional, break through the veil, essentially? At least it would sound absolutely crazy if it were not for the fact that the CERN director himself talked about opening up different dimensions. I mean, when you have people, lead scientists at the institution, talking it as well, you have some credibility there to at least try to investigate it further.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's amazing that you see debunking channels and people. I mean, I get it in the comment section. You guys are ridiculous. CERN is simply trying to, and then fill in the blank. If you look at it critically, if you look at it literally, their mission statement makes no sense. It's all based, I mean, literally, they built the biggest, strongest, most expensive, most powerful machine ever devised by man on the planet Earth. to try to do something that's still actually just a theory based on nothing. I mean, even their own best people can't come up with, well, everything exploded one day, but we think it was from, you know, an advanced civilization. Okay, well then who created them? It just keeps going and going and going and going. These guys have tied themselves to the, I mean, right here in this video, you caught this perfectly. At the Vatican, the Reformation Mass, they were literally mirroring what Symmetry did, which was a movie put out by CERN that it only embroils them. It only solidifies what we've been saying for the longest time, that yes, this is what we're doing. That short film shows them breaking, there's the veil, there it is, you know what I mean? They shows them breaking through the veil, the machine overheating, and then all literal hell breaks loose. And then you see the Pope at a Reformation mass on Halloween, and this is exactly what he's showing as well. You know what I'm saying? But we're crazy.
Yeah, this video especially that you're showing, I really, really enjoyed putting this video together. Once I had the clips, trying to find the clips was incredibly boring. I had to watch Pope Francis talk for about 2 hours before I could find the symbolism in there. And oh man, it was agonizing. Again, it was like sitting through a cult mass. I just remember just the chanting and everything that I used to experience when I went to Roman Catholic Church. But now, once I found some of that stuff, I mean, it's just strange. I mean, if you look at it, you know, the inversion of the world and people falling out of buildings and how it relates perfectly to that CERN video of people falling through time. It just doesn't make sense. You know, why would they put that type of art there? It makes no real sense. I mean, probably the argument that they would say is, oh, well, for the refugees, their world is being turned upside down. Hence, the world is upside down and people are falling out of it. But this inversion, this upside down symbolism, they're using it so much now. I mean, you saw it in that Pope video. You see it in a lot of these quote unquote Christian organizations where they invert text or invert their scenes. It's the as above, so below that I've covered, and many other channels have covered as well.
It's amazing because a lot of us covered this when this happened. This freaked me out. My heart literally fell when I saw this, because when they did this Gotthard Tunnel ceremony, which makes no sense if it was really a transportation-oriented celebration, because this makes no sense. This was basically a statement, as far as I can tell, that these guys are intent on tearing the veil and opening the pit. And that's all this is. They show it straight up. And it's when we thought it couldn't get any worse with the Gotthard Tunnel ceremony that I'm showing right now, it has. They've gone from the gay and lesbian push, all of a sudden everyone needs to get married, all of a sudden the tiniest fraction of the population is suddenly the majority. They jumped right over that hurdle, got that out of the way, the first gay president, so on and so forth. And then Bruce Jenner turns into a woman. And when I saw that happen, I knew exactly what their goal was. These people aren't like us. These people literally use children, and that was their agenda. I said it back when Bruce turned into a woman or whatever he's got going on, that they were going to keep pushing the envelope. And now everything you see in the news right now is pedophilia, pedophiles everywhere. They're getting people used to it. They're going to saturate the media until people just can't take it anymore. You can only stay outraged for so long until you finally get normalized.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I even suffer a little bit of that apathy. You know, you and me and other bloggers, we probably do a lot more homework than most people, and we are exposed to just so much stuff, going down the rabbit hole so deep. And I hate to say it, but there is some apathy that sets in. Like, I just see this stuff so much and nothing surprises me anymore.
Right.
But you know what? It's just so sad because, you know, when you think about what's actually happening, I remember one of the stories that just really disgusted me, just to think that it actually happened, was the that one Scorpions bassist that was interviewed by TMZ, and how he said that he had gone to elite snuff parties where they would kill people in public. Did you ever see that?
I didn't. I had heard about it, but I never actually remembered to watch it.
I mean, there was just visual disgust on his face while he was telling the story. And for a second, you just take a step back and you think of it not as news anymore, right? Or not as conspiracy anymore. But the fact that if this is truth, there literally was some person in a room, much like Eyes Wide Shut movie or something like that, that was getting murdered in front of a whole bunch of people for pleasure. Similar with the pedophilia rings. And when it's hard, it's hard to think of that as real, but everything that we're seeing is essentially alluding to the fact that it is very real, and it's just mind-blowing.
Again, the video that I'm showing right now, Mike picked this up. This was from Pope Francis's Reformation Mass on Halloween. The fact that he was even having a Mass on the 31st of October is creepy, but then when you look at what it is, it's off the hook. They are doing this on purpose. They're revealing themselves. No matter what people think, oh, the elites are on their heels. We got them now. They put this out in every form. The front page of the Newsweek magazine, which they love to communicate with each other through, the beginning of June, it said the unraveling. And I told people right there and then, I'm not saying I told you so or whatever, but they're showing it. They're going to unravel. They're going to just saturate the planet with chaos until people finally tap out. You can only stay outraged for so long because they've been working on making people apathetic. I mean, when we were kids, you didn't see stuff like this. You just didn't see stuff like this. I'm pushing 50. I'm 49. When I was a kid, somebody got shot on TV. He put his hand over the wound and then he fell down poorly. Now, when they shoot somebody, they show it, the bullet going through the organs, ripping through the back of them, so on. It's just an absolute bloodbath, and people are numb to it. And again, you're absolutely on point. Oh my, is that a pun? I was just going to say, Mike, you are on point, saying that, yeah, apathy sets in because, I mean, they're telling us all these little newspaper articles, all these videos the Pope has, all this stuff is translating a message to those with the eyes to see. And we're seeing it. And it's starting to become so obvious that, like you said, people are sitting around talking about this stuff that don't consider themselves truthers. And I think the media is starting to figure it out. So now here we go. Fake news, lock it down.
Yeah. The scary thing is, and we've been talking about this for a while, there's been a lot of warning signs about this. And I hate to be, the boy that cried wolf. Any of us don't want to be the boy that cried wolf.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of YouTube channels. I won't name names, but right, they use a lot of clickbait saying this video is going to be banned, and they have like 50 videos that say they're going to be banned. But in reality, whether you look at the YouTube Red program or you look at this hashtag thing that's coming out between different social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube and so on and so forth, I mean, they will start to crack down on all this quote unquote fake news, everything that we try to share, all the symbolism, everything like that. At some point, it will not be available. I don't know when that will be, but we can see that steadily approaching. And so, we'll just try to do the best that we can with the time that we're given. But I know we may feel a little bit apathetic at times, but, once the news stops, we're getting even closer.
Right. I've always said that was going to be a major, major, major red flag. Before they finally pull it, they need to shut the internet off. At least get it to the point where nobody can share information freely, because then they can basically do what they want. People don't realize the luxury that we have with cell phones, Skype, live stream, so forth and so on. But that stuff is already starting to show cracks in the surface. I mean, I literally made a ironic clickbait video earlier because I got all sorts of crap in the comment section. People like, this isn't the most important video. I said, well, if you're watching it on YouTube and the video is about YouTube shutting us down, it is actually the most important video ever, because you're not going to see anything else. They are already starting. And lots of other channels like yourself are saying the same thing. They're starting to slowly, all the comments are going to spam. People are getting unsubscribed. No one knows that your videos are up, so forth and so on. It's already beginning. And there are a lot of plants showing up on YouTube all of a sudden, and you can tell because they're just going viral right out of the box. It does not. You can make the best video in the world. If there's any truth in it, it may get 20, 30,000, but it won't go viral because they don't let it go viral. Because, yeah, they can do that. They got an app for that.
Yeah, I mean, just like I know Nicholson was on here in the early session, but I know he saw some weird stuff with his channel. You've seen it. I've seen it. I mean, they're definitely doing stuff, but at some point there's going to be like I don't know if it's going to be a hard cutoff switch or what, but yeah, we won't be able to get this stuff out.
Yeah, it's coming unless something happens, and I just don't see something happening. And it's funny because Trump just happens to be sitting right there. Everyone thinks that he is literally the savior, and boy, did I break a lot of hearts. I felt so bad because people are like, look at his name. It's Trump Pence, like the Bible. And I'm like, yeah, but these guys kind of play by the Bible. They know it. They play things out on purpose. And it turns out that he's best friends with Hillary, and it's the norm. It's the norm. And he still isn't in office yet. You know what I mean? There's always time for an okie doke, and it looks like they might be setting up for it. So I don't know. What do you think of this one particular thing right here without getting 300 thumbs down real quick?
Just about my my thoughts about the presidency in general.
Well, or Trump as a savior, because that's going around a lot.
Yeah, I have seen that, and you've seen a lot of my videos where, you know, I have clips of Trump saying that he has not asked God for forgiveness and other things like that. People don't want to hear that. You know, they see him in churches, they see people putting their hands on him, but a lot of times people use the phrase, "I haven't seen the fruit." You know, we don't want to judge people, right? But you can also tell if someone has the fruit of being a good Christian or not. And Donald, you know, not so sure. Exactly. I mean, as for me, I think we're in the terminal generation. I think end times is playing itself out. Personally, I think we are in that tribulation period. And Donald Trump is, as a man, certainly is not going to stop it from happening. That is, if we are in that period in time. But really, I mean, I think, you know, America's pretty much screwed whether we had Hillary or Trump or whoever. One man can't fix what is going on globally.
Right. And just real quick, the fact that the presidential election for the United States of America was reality show and billionaire tycoon Donald Trump against Hillary Rodham Clinton. That pretty much says it all. They know, darn it, we got to put one of these elections on. It's that time of the year. Well, let's see who we got. You know, throw Hillary up there, and then we'll put Trump up there, and let's give them all names that have something to do with the Bible. So we'll go with Trump Pence, and then we'll get, I don't know, let's get Kane to run with Hillary. They were pretty much telling. They were just going through the motions. And again, Barack isn't out of the office yet. The guy wasn't even eligible to be president because I don't think he is who he says he is whatsoever at all. And that might be a psyop, but he just isn't. He hates America, and that's all there is to it. You can tell by his actions.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I remember I said this in a video a while back when, but, you know, sometimes I've always wondered, like, am I going really too far down the rabbit hole? Like, is there really a small group of elite people really making choices? And I think to a degree there is, right? I mean, we know there is an elite. We know that presidential candidates are puppets, and there is some picking and choosing going around. But in terms of the whole grand scheme of things, right? All the symbolism that we see globally, the things we see in our music, the things we see in politics, and we think there's some masterminds behind it all. I don't think that men have that much control. And remember, not everyone here is Christian or has a faith-based attitude towards this. But if you do think about it from a spiritual perspective, there is one orchestrator of all this. And it's only from a supernatural perspective that all these things can align and sync up with each other and, you know, basically fulfill some of the things that we see in those prophetic chapters of the Bible. So when you take it from that standpoint, that this is not in the hands of men, but a different orchestrator, it starts to make a little bit more sense.
I totally agree. And that was really great timing when I pulled this video up, because as you were saying, I think it's out of the hands of men. The goat walks out with two women. They are telling us. People don't seem to understand. A bunch of rich people couldn't do, yes, they can. You know why? Look back at our history, whether it's contrived or not. It's always been a ruler, some selected people who get to eat the crumbs, and then the poor people. Well, that's us, and that's what they want again. America was an experiment. You know what I mean? And the experiment was over. Apparently, they wanted to build up the military, which they've got that. And now they're just basically demoralizing, destabilizing, and destroying America. And there isn't any one person that's going to stop it. Certainly not someone who got to be a billionaire. Because if you make it to the point of billionaire, you end up at those creepy parties. You end up, giving an oath. You won't ask for forgiveness, and you make a point to not answer the question on television. He knew he was on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the main thing, their goal is to, could you ever think of two more diametrically opposed candidates, right? I mean, the whole point is division, divide and conquer. And Donald Trump and Hillary are so far apart, you couldn't even make that up. And just naturally, most of the sheep will fall in line and go across their party lines, and they'll defend their candidate tooth and nail, despite all their character flaws. Whether on the Hillary side, you see all of her criminal acts, or from the Donald Trump side, you see his narcissistic personality. People will defend them like they're their best friend.
And that's the point.
Yeah, and I find it so interesting when the Bible talks about, actually Christ himself talks about, during the end times, a house will be divided amongst itself. Holy cow, man. Like, not personally at my Thanksgiving, but the stories I've heard. So many families fighting at the dinner table. I've seen that. I've heard of, actually, there was on the radio, there was a man and woman that were getting ready to be engaged, and they were a Republican and Democrat, and they respected each other's views up until the Trump-Clinton election, and then they called off the wedding. And it just speaks to the fact that people are so invested in their candidate that they're willing to break ties with personal people for someone that you don't even know personally. It's truly the division that's happening within America. And, just what you're showing right here, right? Person of the Year, Time, the divided states of America.
Yep.
That's what it is. And then the world's divided as well. We're seeing that all over the place with the BRICS nations versus NATO. Everyone's taking their sides, putting their pawns in place.
It's true. It's true. It's literally playing out. When you said what your position was and what you believe, I'm basically on the same course. And I'm not saying that in a doom type of a scenario. I'm saying it because that's what's going on. Not only are they expressing that through all their various symbolism, so forth and so on, but it's also happening. And we're actually to the point where the earth is starting to tremble. You know what I mean? Like at a pretty crazy rate. I was watching one of Dutch Since's early videos earlier, and he's busy. He's very, very busy. So I don't see it as a bad thing, to tell you the truth, because look at how far we've come in 10 years. Imagine where we would be in 10 years from now if it continued at the pace it was moving at right now. I personally wouldn't want to be here. And I'm not a racist or a homophobe or any of that. I'm against things that are just wrong. And it's to the point where everything is wrong right now, and you can't miss it anymore. It's very, very hard to find any solace in this, on this planet right now, honestly. You know what I mean? The water is poisonous. In some places, the water is flammable. You know what I mean? The sky is loaded with planes that people apparently just don't see. The food isn't even real anymore. So, come on.
Yeah,
take it over, Mike.
I did a video on that, right? So, that was part of my coming to Christ and salvation, right? Everything's a lie, right? you can't trust your food, right? Or food's too expensive if you want to get all this organic stuff and all that, but your food kills you. The medical industry, you can't trust them. That's a business. All these medical procedures are getting people addicted to prescription drugs or killing them. You've got just the world at war. You can't even trust your money because it's all fiat money.
Right.
I mean, everything is starting to dissolve. And so that's exactly where I was at. I just saw any aspect of life that you looked at, it was just lots of lies built upon lies. And it was literally like what so many bloggers say, we are living in the matrix. But there still was one way out, and I found it.
And that's totally, totally true. And that's another good point. The fact that I've always followed science since I was a little kid. Telescopes, all that. I just dug science. That was what I was all about. It all made sense to me. It doesn't anymore, because half of the people that are theoretical physicists or theoretical astrophysicists, people don't seem to understand that prestigious title comes with a big word right in the front. It's a theory. And they're all pushing that angle right now. Bank of America spent $50 million Bank of America spent $50 million to find out if we were living in a real world or in the matrix. Michio Kaku, people really believe that guy's anything. They're all saying it. Because if you lived in a matrix, well, then what's the difference? There is no heaven. There is no hell. Who cares? You know what I mean? Do as thou wilt. And it's out there, and they're pushing that one hard. And now we're also seeing the alien invasion. That's coming too. That's coming. Sorry, people. Aliens aren't real. Not real. They've been around. Oh, well, we saw them in the Bible. Well, yeah. They just had a different name back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, coming true. I remember the first time. This was way back in that early turbulent time of fall 2015 or something. I did that Justin Bieber video where they had all that alien symbolism. And man, I was holding my tongue back. I was like, are you really going to talk about quote unquote aliens or demons on your channel? Because you are really going down the rabbit hole deep. But there is just, for an analytical mind to look at some of the ancient structures, like for any of you that haven't done any bit of research on it, look up Russian monolithic or megalithic structures where there's these perfect square cubical buildings or boulders that no modern crane can lift, even if they're paired up with multiple modern cranes. Like there is just unsurmountable things that are just thousands of years old that are just unexplainable, or even the Great Pyramids and sort of the cuts and things that they did there. There was definitely some weirdness going on that we weren't told about in modern history. And so, I'm there with you, man. It sounds way out there, and you really get that tinfoil hat mark put on you. But I think that when the end times transpire and this Antichrist figure comes to the scene, and no, I don't think the Antichrist is the Pope. No, I don't think the Antichrist is Trump. I think the Antichrist is going to be on par, or that's maybe not the right terminology, but it's going to be the inverse of Christ, right? So with Christ and everything supernatural that he could do, raising people from the dead, walking on water, all that stuff, expect the Antichrist to do that and then some, be completely flashy and showy. And it makes perfect sense that, when you think about Adam and Eve in the garden and the serpent tempted them with wisdom, when we think of beings from another planet, what do we think of them as? We think of them having superior knowledge and wisdom. And so there you go and see again, mankind falling for knowledge and wisdom from a supernatural being that promises them peace and safety, maybe saving us from ourselves when we're in world war, who knows? But the theory is sort of sound.
No, it makes perfect sense. And speaking of why do people defend Trump and why do people stick with the alien agenda? Because it offers hope. Because some people are just stuck in this world. I have people around me, very close to me, that just can't hear a word I'm saying, but the Amazon boxes come every day because it offers a little bit of hope. The materialism. If aliens are real, then that's our out, because surely they'll come down here. They might want to take away our guns and everything, but they'll fix everything. So there's hope. Trump can fix everything. So there's hope, because they just don't want to look at the stark reality that we do live in a supernatural universe, and it's playing out exactly as we have been told. The evidence is, like you were saying, all over the planet. Machu Picchu.
Or even look at look at current event news, right? So I've told people at work, I'm going to tell you something really crazy, but before you mark me as crazy, listen to what these people just yesterday or last week said. So it was only this past year that one of the Apollo astronauts talked about the truth that there are aliens. And Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton saying that they are going to disclose Area 51. Or you have the WikiLeaks emails from Podesta talking about alien life. I mean, I hate to say that these people are more credible. They are definitely more visible.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, why is it so crazy for me to say these things when you have Apollo astronauts and heads of state saying it? I mean, that's the only thing that gives any credence to the argument.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because a lot of people gloss right over that. That's another method that I use to disprove the WikiLeaks. If these people are in power to the point that, you know, we're told they are, they have certain wisdom and knowledge. If I was the sixth man to walk on the moon, and I'm emailing Mr. Podesta because the aliens that we're in touch with and have been in touch with are angry because we haven't disarmed yet, that's a setup, because both of those guys know that that's not exactly real whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe the moon is something that can actually be landed on. I'm just going to tell you, because I spend an awful lot of time watching the moon through every type of optic I can get my hands on. And something's up with the moon, and something's up with the astronauts. And I mean, none of them, you guys walked on the moon, but you can't explain what that was like. And the pictures you have, you know what I mean? None of that stuff plays out correctly. So it's all feeding into a big, big agenda, which all boils down to do what thou wilt, because there are no consequences. Do you know what I'm saying? And people do not like to hear that. That's why they hate us.
Yeah. And it's just so hard, because, right, this is exactly where I was. How do you tell truth from fiction? It's just, you can't anymore, right? I mean, maybe they did land on the moon. Maybe they didn't. You're never going to be able to prove it. You're going to have theories. Maybe Julian Assange and WikiLeaks is organic and true to its nature, or maybe he's controlled opposition. Probably not going to be able to prove it. Just the whole world is going to disorder. It's full of lies and deceits and everything of that nature. And like I said, there's only one way out of it. And that's why I think it's good. It's refreshing, for one, to see a lot of these truth-based channels start to integrate the whole Christianity and Christian aspect of it. That's really, really cool to see. I've actually seen more of it lately. But the other thing too, from a non-Christian perspective, is like just today, I'll give you an example. I just put out a video like an hour ago about how there's someone that tried to kill or threatened to kill a Sandy Hook parent. And now they're branding this again as a fake news incident in which you're an alt-right extremist, much like the shooter that went into Pizzagate and is an alt-right extremist.
Exactly.
And I found this link on a local news channel. And I was reading through the Facebook comments, again, on this local news channel, and I was really surprised. I thought the whole thing was going to be full of like all these crazy right-wingers and their tinfoil hats. It was about 50-50 with people saying that Sandy Hook was fake versus your typical sheeple saying that, oh no, people died there, whatever. But for a local news site, I thought that was real interesting. You can definitely see the division on any type of RT, CNN, or whatever type news channel. But to see it at the local level, I was like, wow, man, this stuff is spreading pretty good.
Right, right. And it's what a happy coincidence that somebody else bolsters the Pizzagate investigator that went in there with a gun and then came out peacefully and gave up. And turns out he happens to be an actor.
Yeah.
But then somebody goes after one of the same, you know, because that helps out. That puts more pressure, and that it serves them once again. Sandy Hook if you're a police officer, if you're a detective, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, look at the facts. It didn't happen. A police officer, every single one of those children were dead. None of the, you know what I mean? It's just beyond. The information is terrible, but they don't care because enough people usually buy it. I mean, everybody bought 9/11, for instance. You know what I mean? Hook, line, and sinker. That was the
Yeah.
best Bruce Willis movie we ever saw play out live, ever. There was gold being stolen. There was war. There was intrigue. There was people falling out of windows. Everything you need. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. And that was a long time ago. They don't even try anymore.
Yeah.
They just don't.
I know. For the rational mind, it's, you know, Matrix. Matrix is perfect, right? When Neo came out and he saw the truth and he couldn't handle it, he collapsed and threw up. People cannot handle the truth. I mean, there's people that listen to me with some skepticism. They're like, I'm willing to listen to what you have to say, but I'm not really going to completely buy it. And I've talked to them about the whole 9/11 controlled demolition and everything like that, and bring up Building 7, which wasn't hit by anything. And they're like, I can't believe it. No, I can't. And then
Right.
they'll go throw up somewhere. But,
Yep. Yep. It's tough. It's tough. Why don't you ever give it a break? It's like, it doesn't work like that because you're seeing it constantly. I mean, like, that's a great analogy because that's exactly how I feel. When you look around, you don't see what everyone else sees. You see the numbers, you see the real, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, but it is all building up. I mean, something has to give. The dollar should have collapsed quite a while ago, but I mean, as long as you keep printing, it keeps going. And it seems like they keep stoking the fires for war, keep stoking it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And then and put all that to the side. All the creepiest, craziest, wackiest stuff just when you think it can't get any crazier, something else pops up. Something else pops up. And it seems like they have a never ending supply. So I don't know, man.
So,
I don't
hey,
know.
I'll for any of the people that are in the room that are my subscribers, and for you as well. So I got a secret that I'm not going to tell on my channel, but I'll just tell it on here. And so this is real interesting, right? So, you know, we see a lot of these bloggers being persecuted, right, for what they're doing, or in some cases, right, the gray state, the guy got suicided. That one UFO blogger, he got suicided. And we always wonder if something like that's going to happen to us. So I had put out a video a while back just showing some of the supernatural symbolism that has popped up even at my own workplace. Do you remember seeing that?
I did.
Right. So I do an all right job trying to keep my identity fully, you know, disclosed. But somehow the HR department at my work found out that that was my work, and I actually had to be brought in to discuss it. And so you'll notice that that video has been taken down. And I was, you know, at one point I thought I was going to lose my job for it, but luckily I didn't. So you know, the persecution for you, for me, for anyone that talks about this stuff or follows this stuff, I mean, it's real. And man, that was the most uncomfortable conversation I've ever been in. But like I said, you just got to be careful. I even, if you watch 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗧, I've had a couple email exchanges with her, and she's going viral right now. I mean, she's got some, every single one of her videos is going 100,000, 200,000 or more. And she's seeing strange things, and she's worried for her safety. It's very real, very, very frightening too.
Well, that's one of the first things they pull on you. That's their favorite. When I was 27 Tub Guy for the longest time, because that's just what I typed in when I started the channel. It eventually turned into Richie from Boston on its own. When I first started making videos, you can still go back and look at them. It showed me doing my job, and I had lots of government contracts until they started seeing my videos, and the same thing, everything just totally stopped. So I did actually lose my company because of this, because I wasn't clever enough to separate work from being Richie from Boston. So yeah, they definitely make themselves known. Once they find out what you're talking about, they make contact. It's really funny, one way or the other. And I'm not talking trolls or shills. they make personal contact and they prove it. So it's weird. It's definitely weird, but I'll tell you, I've been praying an awful lot lately, and I'm not even halfway kidding. I've been praying an awful lot lately. So at any rate, Mike, do you have anything else you want to say? Any other secrets you want to disclose? Because we've been going at it for over an hour, and I know you got a life to live, and I'm going to shut this down soon.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be off here to put the 2 kids to bed. I just want to say, you know, it's good to get on here. I haven't done a live stream before, and I've been sort of MIA, just busy with life and everything. But it's cool just to read everyone writing things in the comment section. It's cool to talk to you. I think it's a good opportunity for people to see how we're just, you know, everyday Joes, and you know, it's not some psyop. We're not government shills or anything like that. We're just trying to spread news. And just really appreciate everyone who's watching and listening to our stuff. And if Richie and your channel and me and my channel can be of any influence to you, just know that any single one of you can start up your own channel. Exactly. And be just as successful and enlighten as many more minds as we have. It's just crazy how it just, you know, it can just happen from a spark. So don't lose faith in yourself, and don't put yourself down thinking you can't do it. The only way we're going to win hearts and minds is if more people start to engage in this stuff. Exactly. Exactly. Like we both said at the beginning, it's just funny that we happen to follow the same channels. And I got to say that they're all very solid, very well researched. That's not my exact style. And like I told you on the phone, I just bring smart people on. It makes me look better. So there's that. At any rate, Mike, thank you so very much. Anytime you got anything to say, I was going to put your Sandy Hook video up, but I'm not going to spill the beans. Let that do what it's going to do on its own. I can't wait to watch it, to tell you the truth. And I definitely appreciate you coming on, brother. Anytime whatsoever, hit me up. Let me know. You got my number. Oh, likewise. This was real cool. It was real cool. Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. So, all right, guys. Mike from On Point Preparedness, his links are in the chat, and I will also leave them in the description. Richie from Boston, Mike from On Point, and we are out.